Hey guys, this is the Real Hadil podcast, and today I have the pleasure of introducing Faizun Kamal. She is a nationally public speaker and career strategist. With her experience as a former Fortune 15 executive with 18 years of experience, Faizun brings her own touch as she's the CEO of the franchise Pros. Faizun has coached many people nationwide and by helping them transition from their current careers and becoming entrepreneurs. So today, Faizun, please, everyone welcome her. I want to start off with, please explain to us what a franchise consultant is and what do they do?
Adil, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And thank you for the kind words.
Yeah.
Franchise consultant. So let me answer your question this way. Would you buy a house without a realtor? Would you make a bold career move without the help of an executive recruiter? And similarly, you can get the same type of help when you are looking to invest in a franchise. Investing in a franchise can be pretty expensive depending on the kind of business that you're getting into. And because it's a sizable financial investment, you want to be able to get the expert guidance to be able to figure out whether or not the franchise that you're getting into is the right one for you. And that's what I do. I work with executives and professionals around the country, many times locally here in the DMV, and help them find their perfect fit franchise based on an assessment of their goals.
Got you. So you really just, it's like, when someone tries to buy their own home, they forget so many steps, and that's why they need a realtor. So you're really there to just kind of guide them, coach them, and say, hey, no, actually don't do this. Make sure you sign this contract. Make sure they do this for you because you shouldn't be doing this. Is that kind of how it works? It's kind of like, let me guide you through the process of really finding the right franchise.
You hit the nail on the head, Hadil. Currently in the United States alone, there are more than 3,000 franchises that you can go into.
Wow.
So if you were sitting here today and you're thinking, well, I think the next step of my career involves me starting my own business. And oh, by the way, I think a franchise is the way I'm headed. How do you even find out which one is the right one for you? Right? It's a big pool. So you've got to be able to start to narrow it down, but you can't do it willy-nilly. You have to be a little more intentional and a little more strategic. And that's where I come in. I work with clients one-on-one. Every client I work with them individually. I never take on too many clients at any one time. It's a large decision for the client, and I want to be able to ensure that I'm there for them every step of the way until they get to that stage where they are signing their franchise contract.
Got you. I love that. That's amazing. That's really amazing. I honestly didn't even know there was someone like you out there. I just figured, people just choose whatever they're interested in and then just figure it out. Until I met you, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting career.
I hear that all the time. And I think that's it's a missed opportunity, but I think it's also an opportunity to educate people that just like with anything else, there are actually people like me who will walk you through and help you figure out whether or not, number one, whether or not you are suited for a franchise, because you may not be. That's another thing. A lot of people think, franchises, I see them everywhere. Everybody talks about them. I think I can make a boatload of money. Maybe, maybe not. It depends on a number of different factors.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, that's phenomenal. If you don't mind me asking, how'd you get into this career? Like, what did you do before that really, obviously I introduced you with 18 years of experience in corporate, but what led you to this, and what did you do in the past that kind of brought that experience?
How many hours do we have for this podcast, Hadil? I know. It's interesting. So the question you asked me is very loaded because it was a very personal thing for me, which ended up, which helped me transition over to what I'm doing now. So in 2015, after almost a decade-long career in corporate America, with a tiny company you may have heard of called Verizon, I got laid off. Like so many other people in corporate America, I too got laid off. And for me, it wasn't a blessing in disguise. It was a straight up blessing. I was doing 80-hour weeks regularly. My daughter at the time was less than 2 years old. I never saw her. I never saw my husband. When you think of the stereotype of the bad corporate executive, it had my face on it. Always on the go, unhealthy, unbalanced life. I was just out of whack. And for quite some time, I had talked to my husband about leaving my job and doing something else because it simply was not fulfilling me in any meaningful way.
Right.
Financially, it was fantastic, but in other ways, it wasn't. And so when the layoff came, I had mentally and in other ways prepared myself. And so I left the company 2015. And it's interesting, I didn't realize it at the time. I ended up giving myself a 12-month sabbatical.
Wow.
And I said, this next step of my life, it's not going to be, typically what do we do in our careers? We move from one job to another, to the next, to the next. And sometimes there's not a lot of intention and thought behind it. And I said, not this time. I now have a little one. I have left a decade-long career. What does the next step of my life look like for me? And in that 12-month journey, I found the world of franchise consulting.
Wow.
And this was an opportunity for me to really shape and create the kind of life and the kind of lifestyle that I had wanted. And I find now in my work, that is exactly what every person who comes to me, that's what they're looking for.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's a powerful story because, well, first of all, you've had the experience of being in corporate, so you can feel for people when they come to you and say, I'm just tired of the career I'm in, and I'm tired of working for someone, and I kind of want to start something on my own, but not fully go into it, starting the whole company, but maybe something on my own.
Absolutely.
That being able to relate to people, it's a powerful tool because they feel like you understand them, and when you do,
well, because I think it makes you that much more compelling and authentic, Adil, right? I mean, when you talk about something that you don't really know very much about, you've just read it in a book, that comes through too.
Yeah.
When you've lived it, you can speak to nuances that the client is feeling because you have been through it too. Right. So it's very, very different. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's almost like you can speak the same language as them, where you don't have to explain your soul almost. So it's
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
It's powerful. And I love to hear that because you also saw the downside of working for someone, and now doing something on your own and helping others do the same is powerful. It's just powerful.
It really is. It really is.
So walk me through kind of how do you help someone find their perfect fit franchise? How does that work? Because for instance, the friend I referred you, how did you help him figure out, something totally opposite from his industry that he used to work in for years, figure out why this is a good fit for them?
Absolutely. And thank you for referring your friend to me, who, by the way, is now the very happy owner of a residential cleaning franchise. Thank you for that. He's absolutely delighted, beyond the moon.
Before you start, by the way, guys, he was in the automobile industry, for years. So this is why I'm asking the question, because sometimes it's you wonder, and you're like, how do you go from that to cleaning? Where was that? He'll be great for that kind of moment.
Perfect. So actually, since Adil, you mentioned him, and I'm not going to use names, but let's use him as a case study.
Right.
So you referred your friend to me, and the first step becomes a consultation. So this is more of a, hey, I don't know you. Let me try and understand a little bit more about your background, what you've done over the last 10, 20 years, and why at this point in your life are you thinking a franchise may be the right fit for you? That's really the first step. So your friend, and we'll call him John. So John came to me, and we got on a call, and he was lovely, and he shared a lot of details with me. And essentially, this was his story. He said, Faizun, I have been in the automotive industry for the last 17, 18, 20 years. He started when he was a young man, in his teens, early teens. And he had been in that industry, and he said, by the way, I don't hate what I do. So unlike a lot of clients who have come to a point where they no longer enjoy what they do, John did. He said, I really love what I do. I love the company that I'm with. I love my coworkers, but here's the issue. Over the last couple of years, I have had a number of health issues. I have had some issues with my legs. And the work I do necessitates that I be standing for extended periods during the day. And as I head into my 40s, I'm standing at a crossroads in my life and my career, and I'm saying, I I could just continue down this path until I get to a stage where physically I'm no longer able to do this. Or I could do the wiser thing, which is to say, let me look at the options in front of me. And is there something else that allows me to not necessarily be stymied by some of my physical limitations, but that allows me to take my existing strengths and skill sets and parlay that into a completely different business? And that, by the way, Hadil, is exactly what a franchise does. One of the biggest misconceptions that people have is somebody will come to me and say, Faizun, I'll take my example. I have been an executive at Verizon for the last 17 years. I have a background in HR, operations, and customer service, for example.
Right.
What do I even find? Is there a franchise out there for me?
Yeah.
And the question is, yes, there is. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm taking the skill sets that you have already developed over the course of your career. I cull those out. I pull those out. I do an inventory of, okay, so John, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your blind spots? What are the things that you like to do? Conversely, what are the things that you would rather have your tooth pulled out without lidocaine than do those things? And we all have them. There are things that we really don't enjoy. Once we've done an inventory of that, I then take those, and there's a series, and I'm giving you sort of the overview version, but we go through a series of psychometric assessments where I try to get an understanding of what your skill sets are. Once we've done that, I then go into my inventory, and we work with a couple hundred of some of the most reputable, well-known franchise brands in the United States. And I will reach into my inventory and I'll pull out a handful of franchises that require that their franchisees have these particular skill sets.
Okay.
Right? This is not, close your eyes, throw darts in the dark, and hope that it hits the bullseye. No, it has to be more strategic than that, right? So I do that. In the meantime, the other thing I do for every client of mine is I will create your customized, personalized business model. Your business model is, think of it as all those granular details that you want in your business in order for that business to give you the things that you're telling me you need.
Right.
We make that match. I then introduce you to these franchises. I introduce you to the management of these franchises, the CEO, the COO, the CFO, and you will get on calls with them. You will also then be introduced to the franchisees of these businesses that I've given you.
That's powerful.
Right?
You get to ask them questions.
Because here's the thing, who is better situated to be able to tell you what is the day-to-day of running a business, but the franchisees of that particular franchise that you're looking at. I work with clients typically between, I would say, 45 to 60 days. Your friend John was amazing in that he moved through the process aggressively, intentionally, because he had a clear sense. So back to John again for a moment, the question you asked me. So what is an automotive technician doing buying a residential cleaning business? I mean, how in the hell is that even a fit, right? Well, so here's the beauty of the consultation that we do. In my consult, I ask a bunch of different questions. And some of it you might say, good grief, why are you asking me that? What does that have to do with anything? And I say, suspend your disbelief for a moment. Give me the benefit of the doubt. There really is a method behind the madness. And one of the things he had said to me was, he said, Faizun, I came to the United States at a very young age. And I bought my house many years ago. And I guess I'm just one of those weird single guys. I like to clean my home. I like to keep things tip-top. I will have cleaning service come in every now and then. And I have tremendous respect for the kind of work that these people do. And that stayed in my ear. And I said, really? So imagine the kinds of questions I would ask in order to have a client share that level of detail with me on a consult, right?
Deep questions you probably ask, because automotive to clean my house and always being in top shape. And it's
Exactly, right? So it was based on that little comment that he made. And I said, let me give you a business that you may love or you may completely end up hating. Well, the beauty of it was he got on that first call with the franchise and he fell in love.
Wow.
At the end of the first week, he called me and he said, I know you're going to think I'm totally crazy, I think I've decided the one for me. So he's a little bit of a different case in that he knew from the get-go what he wanted. Typically, most clients will go through a process of trying to figure that out. But ultimately, I get them to a stage where the business that they've decided on, it checks off the different things that they have said to me that they want from the business.
Got it. Got it. That's powerful. That's extremely powerful. Because I didn't even know that's how he decided. You know, it was just like, I thought it was just a suggestion. He looked into it. He asked a few people, and then it was kind of like, okay, that's how he did it. But to come up with that idea was powerful.
Yeah.
You really dig deep into, you know, to understanding who this person is and really what they do on their free time kind of thing. Because that you have to, it's funny. It's like almost like you're giving them a business and they're, you know, they're saying, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I just don't know what kind.
Absolutely.
Giving them that type of, that decision. You're guiding them, not necessarily giving it to them, but you're kind of helping them, guiding them through the process.
I mean, I'll tell you, Hadil, I will tell you for the first time in my own career, I have found what I believe is my calling. I love this work that I do. And so when I sit down for a consult with a client, it's amazing to me the kinds of things that people will share with you when you exhibit genuine interest in them.
Yeah.
Because think about it, right? We all have these different, varied, layered, diverse careers and lives. But how often do we actually take the time to sit down, talk about it with someone, much less reflect on what you've done, and then think about moving forward, is this something that I want to continue to do? Or is there something else outside that may be a better fit with who I am and what I'm looking for? And that's what we are trying to uncover.
I love that. I love that a lot. It shows that you're super passionate about what you do, and you're also
I love what I do.
Genuinely care. You just care about your clients and making sure that if they're going to join you on this journey, you're going to make sure they're going to win. They're going to they're succeeding in the process.
Absolutely. Every client that I have ever placed in a franchise, they're on my speed dial. These are boys and girls who text me at all hours of the day and night. I stay in touch with every person I've ever put in a business. It's a selfish reason. I want to know, how well are you doing? What are you doing? Are you having fun? Was this indeed the right business for you?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. That's powerful. Well, I mean, makes it easy for me to refer you anyway.
Right? You're sweet. Thank you. Very appreciated.
Honestly, anybody I talk to, they say very good things about you. So it makes me happy to see that, you know, why they say all these things, because you're truly just passionate about what you do and about the people you work with. So that's awesome. That's phenomenal.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit, like, you know, what are the types of franchises people can do? Because I know you said there's 3,000 of them. So clearly not all of them are going to be fast food like everyone thinks they are.
So you hit on the biggest myth in franchising. People think it's all about burgers and fries. That's all that there is.
Really?
Yeah, but it really isn't. The way I like to say it, Hadil, is if you can imagine it, it has probably already been franchised. I mean, that is how extensive this industry has become. So I'll give you some of the main categories that we work with. Food, obviously, that's one. Automotive, a huge one. Retail. So these are franchises that you would typically find in a mall setting, in a retail setting. There are businesses that we have, and this is another industry that has completely exploded in the last 15, 20 years, which is fitness, right?
Yeah.
When you look around you,
yeah.
Different kinds of fitness, boutique fitness is becoming huge. One of the demographic trends that we have seen are people moving away from big box fitnesses to more boutique types of fitness concepts, kickboxing, yoga, high intensity interval training. I'll give you one of the concepts that I have in my inventory that's pretty cool. I'm dying to do a workout. I haven't yet. It's a combination of yoga, strength training. I have to take a moment because it's three different things, right? It's yoga, it's strength training, and it's a third. I can't remember what it is, but it's a combination of three different workout concepts put together in one. It's an hour long. You spend 20 minutes on each of the three, so that when you come out, you've had a workout that you're not bored by, and time passes like that. So you have all of these different innovative concepts coming to market that target literally anyone and everyone, to men, to just women, to just retirees in a certain age group, to youth, all over. So many, many different categories of businesses that are out there.
So how do you keep up? Like, how do you, that's because that's like a long list, because you said there's about 3,000 franchises in this country, which is, if you think about it, not a lot compared to how many restaurants there are in this country. But how do you find, like, how do you, I mean, where's the list come from? What's the database? Like, where do you get this from?
I love it. I love it. That's that's a question I get quite a bit. So we have strategic relationships with several hundred of these franchises. And one of the things that happens is when you've been in the industry for a while, people get to know who you are and they come to you and they will say, hey, I have this company, I have this franchise that I've been running for 7 years, for 15 years, and we are ready to take it bigger. We would like to become a part of your inventory so that when you have clients who are coming to you and asking for different franchises, we would like to be considered as part of the mix. It's a continual learning process for us. We have concepts who come and present themselves. Typically, these are webinars that we have, educational webinars that walks us through what does the business do? What kind of support do they provide their franchisees? And that's a very important one. I never want to give a client a business that they end up buying, and then they turn around and come back to me a couple months later and say, that was the worst decision I could have made. So knock on wood, it's never happened yet, and I hope it never does. And the reality of it is there are many businesses out there that will tell you we are the best thing since sliced bread. But then when you dig deeper, lots of issues, financial issues, potential litigation that they have gone through, right? And so there's a certain level of vetting that happens before a franchise comes into our inventory. So when I give you, my client, a business, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, there are not these issues that you will have to contend with down the road.
So there are franchise, whoever you work with and whoever you're trying to, say, hey, you should definitely try out this franchise. You make sure that that company itself has everything together, because you don't want to just put people there and it's like, you don't support them, they don't give them marketing funds, nothing.
Absolutely.
So then if someone, let's say, is interested and they're like looking at this video and they're like, okay, I really want to, I'm considering a franchise business. What are the processes with the finances? Do they have to put loan? Like, how does that work? Where's the transition where they pay you, or how do they pay you, or how does that work? And then from, putting money towards an actual franchise.
Perfect. So let me answer your last question first. My clients never pay me a penny. So my services are fully compensated by the franchise. So think of how an executive headhunter works, right? They have a set of companies and they have a set of clients. And through a proprietary matching and assessment process, they bring the two together.
Got you.
Same case, I have a set of franchises, companies, and I have clients. Through a proprietary matching assessment, we bring the two together. Once the match has been made, and once you, the client, sign on with that particular franchise, the franchise then turns around and pays me a fee.
So you're very similar to a realtor then.
Absolutely.
If you're a buyer, necessarily, you don't pay the realtor to help you. The seller pays the realtor.
There you go. Exactly.
That's powerful. So then that's even better, because it shows that, hey, like for you especially, you have to work hard to make sure your person loves what they do and they choose the right one, because at the end of the day, you don't get paid, right? So
this is one of the hazards of my job.
Your incentive is not necessarily, obviously you want to make money and you have to make money, but in reality, it's like it gives people even more of an incentive to want to hire you, because you have to put everything you got into this, because you not only for yourself, but most importantly for them, because if they're not happy, it's only downhill for both ends.
If they're not happy, if I haven't done what I needed to do, if I have given them businesses that are absolutely not a fit, because I never really paid attention to what they were telling me that they wanted, right? Because I already got paid up front. Think of where it would end.
Right.
Now, similarly, the hazards of my job is if a client works with me for a couple months and decides, this is too much of a risk for me, I'm going to go back into the corporate world, then that happens.
Yeah.
That's a part of life. But yes, this is how typically I would get compensated with a client to help them put them into a franchise.
Wow, that's powerful. That's good. It makes people even more comfortable to work with you. So like, oh, she's not just taking my money.
I think so.
It's like she's really putting in effort, and she's going to put in effort because she needs to get paid, but most importantly, because she cares.
Well, look at it from the other perspective, which is if a reputable franchise out there is willing to pay you, Faizun, for helping them to vet and find a franchisee that is going to be a fit with their system, and you work with me through that process and you help put me into that system, and they're compensating you, from that perspective, it increases your credibility as a consultant.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no reason for a company to part with their hard-earned money if indeed there wasn't a fit between them and the client that I gave to them.
100%. Because it's just even more of an incentive to want to work with you, because you're really making sure this is a good fit for all ends.
It has to, otherwise it goes nowhere. It absolutely goes nowhere. Yeah.
I love it. That's powerful. So then tell me this then. I know, well, you already gave an example of a real life client, but would you say is like the biggest challenges in your job that maybe people who are listening to this could be prepared to say, okay, maybe I should prepare myself for this if I ever do work with her, if I ever do want to do something.
Absolutely. Sorry, you also asked me about the financial investment in a franchise. I'm sorry, I didn't answer that. I just remember that. Every franchise that I have in inventory, they have two things that they look for. And the number varies from franchise to franchise to franchise. The first number, what is the client's liquidity? So the liquidity is the amount of cash a client has either in a savings or a checking or in stocks and bonds, essentially anything that can be easily liquidated. For that amount, typically if the client comes to the table with anything less than $50,000, it becomes a little more of a constrained situation for me to help to put them into a franchise. Now, I will give you the caveat at the end, but for right now, $50,000 of liquidity. The second number that franchises ask me for is, what is the client's net worth? So their net worth is going to be all of their assets minus all of their liabilities.
Gotcha.
Right? I own a home. I have this much in cash. I have several other investments in other rental properties, etc., etc. Those are your assets.
Right.
On the liability side of the house, I have some credit card debt. I have assets minus liabilities. That is your net worth.
Right.
Now, I will say $50,000 for liquidity, but I have put clients into businesses, solid, reputable businesses with less than $50,000.
Okay.
So what I will say to you is this: it's a case by case.
Right.
One of the other things that people do, they will come to me, they're super excited and they say, oh my gosh, I don't think I have the money to be able to do this. And I say, let's not go there yet. Let's fill out, it's what we call in the industry a client questionnaire. It gives, it's an online questionnaire that starts to give me a little more background into you, the client, and helps me determine if indeed you and I can work together. And part of that assessment is a financial piece, where you would give me your net worth and you would give me your liquidity. Many people think they don't have the numbers when in fact they do. What do I mean by that? There are many clients who will have money sitting in a retirement account. What a lot of people don't realize is using your retirement funds is actually one of the most popular and one of the best ways in which you can self-fund your new business.
Really?
Yes.
I never even thought about that. I didn't even know you could
Yes.
do that. Okay. Wow.
Right? So again, I say, let's have a conversation. Let's walk through what you have. Give me your numbers. And once I've taken a look at it, I will be better able to tell you whether or not we can begin the process for you now, or whether you need to start in a couple of months once you've built your assets up to a certain level.
I love that. And it's very clear on what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
How you're going to help them get the finances to move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I like what you said. You give them a couple months. If it's not financially fit for them right now, it's not like you leave them dry and leave them hanging. It's like, hey,
No.
This is what you need to hit. Come back to me and let's move forward.
I mean, the beauty of it is now you know. This is how much money you're going to need to be able to start a franchise. Okay, so here you are now. How many months it's going to take you to get to here? Once you're here, we'll stay in touch. Once you get to that point, we'll begin the process for you then.
Okay, I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to remember the question I asked you now.
You asked me what are some of the things people should think about?
Yeah, let's think about before coming to you. Yeah, what do they should have ready when they have a meeting with you? That was
one. I think have a sense of your financials. This is a business that will require a significant amount of money. In some instances, much less than what you think. Another big myth out there, people think, I need $1 million to start a franchise. Not true. Not true at all, right? But you do need some money. That's one. The second thing I would say, really, really think about if you've had a job before, are you ready to leave the job? Most of the people who come to me, they have a spouse who is working and will continue working full time while they start the business. What I say to clients is the first 12 months, you should pretend like you're not bringing in any income. And any income that you're bringing in, you're putting right back into the business to grow it. And so, can you support yourself for 12 months? Can you support yourself for at least 6 months? Do you have that kind of cash cushion? These are some of the things that I think people should start to think about. Get the answers to those questions for themselves before they embark on this process.
Right.
As with anything else, the better prepared and planned you are in the beginning, the better and stronger your outcome is going to be if you do begin that process.
I agree. I love it. Well, Faizun, I mean, you answered a lot of my questions, and
Yay.
I didn't know there was, this in depth in what you do, and it's phenomenal. I can definitely see how many people you've definitely helped and are going to help in the future. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
I want to leave you with maybe, I want to say 3 or 2, whatever you have, but 3 lessons that you've learned in your previous career, in your current career. What are 3 lessons you want to share with people that, to move forward, any woman or man who's listening to this, that they can take home with them moving forward for any career they're going forward.
The first thing, Hadil, I would say, and this is directly from my own life, there are a lot of people out there who really hate what they're doing right now. And so what I say is, number one, don't discount any experiences that you've had up until this point, especially the negative experiences. So a lot of people who come to me, they hate their jobs. They hate what they're doing and they're looking for something new. And I say, take that negative experience and use that to create something positive in your life. And we can always do that. That's number one. The second thing I would say, and this is again from my own life, I have always colored outside the lines in my career. So think of when we are kids, right? Your mom or your dad gives you the coloring book and your mom says, all right, Hadil, make sure you color within the lines. Don't go out of it, okay? Right? It's something that we've all heard our parents say. I would say you should do the opposite when you're in the work world. If you are in a job, expand out of your job description. Take on more responsibilities that typically you don't need to. But the more you do that, the more you build yourself up. If you're an entrepreneur, take on things that other peers of yours are not necessarily doing. That's what's going to make you stand out. Color outside the lines. If people are going towards A, ask yourself, should I go towards A? Maybe I should go towards B because there's less competition there. Or there's less people who look like me doing what I'm doing over there. And 3, I would say, we are so resilient. And this is something I see in every client I work with. People who come to me dismayed at how their lives have turned out. People who have missed their children growing up because they have been traveling for work all the time. And they come to me and I say, guys, here's the beauty of it. You are now at a point in your life, you can absolutely create a new career and by translation, a new life for yourself that you love. It is possible. It's going to take a little bit of time. It will certainly take some work on your part, but I will get you there if that's what you want. It is truly astounding, the resiliency that I see in my clients. And I say that to everyone out there who's thinking about a new career, you absolutely have it in you to create a new career and a new life. You just have to want it very, very strongly in order for that to happen.
I love it. That's powerful. That's very powerful. And I know anybody out there that's listening to this who is currently working for someone and is looking for new ways to get out of their career and kind of start something on their own a little bit, I think they'll find this very powerful because you're really speaking to them, You're really making them, they can resonate to what you're saying because you've been through it.
I went through it myself, right? So I I can speak to it because I have gone through the process myself. It is absolutely possible. And I see this in my clients every single day, every person that I put into a business, where they come thinking, I don't know. I don't know what's out there for me. I don't know if this can work for me. And in fact, they go through the process and they do find that business, and that creates the lifestyle, that creates the income, that creates the flexibility that they're looking for.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's very powerful what you're saying. Very powerful. I guess the last question I have to ask you is, where can we find you? Where can my people, if they want your help and they're looking to ask you questions or anything, where can they seek you?
So LinkedIn, there are hundreds of millions of people on LinkedIn, but there's only one Faizun Kamal. It's not too difficult to find me. I would say connect with me on LinkedIn. On Facebook, Faizun Kamal Franchise, type that in and my company's page will pop up. I'm on Twitter as well. Social media really is the best. Otherwise, if anybody wants to shoot me an email, it's faizun@thefranchiseconsultingcompany.com.
Love it. Okay, and I'll make sure to have an infographic afterwards.
Absolutely.
So everyone can see what you just said and make sure they can find you in the right place.
Fantastic.
Faizun, thank you for taking the time to come in.
Oh, Adil, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was fantastic. A lot of fun.
Perfect. Well, Faizun, guys, you know where to find her. She has everything she mentioned. If you have any questions, reach out to me. If you can't find her, reach out to me. And yeah, guys, have a great day. And Faizun, thank you again.
Thank you, Adil.